Hello, it's Natasha N.K.O, 24th of June, 2026, 16:28 in the sweltering heat. I have my fan on in the background, so hopefully that's not too disruptive. Reading on from The Lonely Londoners. The last section I read was about Galahad, the newcomer to London that Moses went to meet at Waterloo. He's been showing Galahad around town. Galahad is the one that is always suited and booted, so they call him Sir Galahad. And he was telling us about his escapades with women, particularly white girls. We left off with him on a date in his place with one. So I'll read the last paragraph that I ended with before and continue to read on from the bottom of page 82. What's wrong with it? Galahad asked. Is English we speaking? And so he coasted in a little old talk until the tea finished, and afterwards he started to make one set of love to Daisy. It was battle royal in that basement, man, he told Moses afterwards. And he went on to give a lot of detail, though all of that is nothing to an old veteran like Moses. It's only to Galahad is new because it's the first time with a white number. Moses smiled a knowing smile, a tired smile, and take it easy, he tells Sir Galahad. Big city, come from an orphanage in one of the country districts in Trinidad. When he was a little fella, he hears some people talking about the music the Norphanage, Norphanage, the Norphanage band does play. But instead of hearing music, Big City thought he hear fusic, Fusic, fusic. And since that time, nobody could ever get him to say music. Listen to that sharp piece of fusic by Mantovani, Moses. Man, Big City, the word is music, not fusic. You're only trying to tie me up. You think I don't know English? When Big City get big, he left the Norphanage and he went in the army in Trinidad. He used to eat so much food you couldn't see him behind the plate. It was there that he get the name Big City. He always talking about the big cities of the world. Big city for me, he would say. None of this small time village life for me. It's New York and London and Paris that is big life. You think I'm going to stay in Trinidad? When the war over? This small place? No, not this old man. Big city had a way. It used to be grumpy and vexed with everybody until it was payday. You couldn't tell him a word until Friday come. Big city, what happening, man? Listen, why you something ing me up so? So it's an underscore, line, underscore, and then ing. Something ing. Listen, why you something me up so? Why you don't something off and leave me alone? But I only ask you what's happening, man. Leave me alone. Get to something out. All the week he liked that. But when he get pay on Friday, he's sitting down on the counter. He used to be in the stores and picking his toes and smiling and calling out to everybody who come in. Come and have a drink. He would invite friend and stranger. I have a bottle here. He never mop a drink from anybody. It was he who always giving. And he would talk about all the big places in the world. How after the war he was going to work on ships and go all about. Little later that same day, some fellas would say, Big City, how about some wappy? Wapee. Listen to this, man. I don't gamble, boy. But half an hour after Big City kneeling down in a circle, a dollar bill crumple up and stick in his ear hole and some small change before him. By the time Monday come around, he revert to haul your ass and stop something me up when anybody talk to him. War over and Big City begin to work on ship and travel all about. One day the ship docked in London and he went to Piccadilly Circus and watched the big life. When the ship sailed, Big City stayed behind. But with all the travelling and experience, he still remained convinced that it ain't have no word like music. Where you going, Big City? Nottingham Gate. It's not Nottingham, boy. It's Notting Hill. You trying to something me up? All right. Where you living now? Shepherd's Hill. How it is that Big City get a car, nobody know. But all of a sudden the boys see him driving car all over London. Where you get that car, Big City? Mind your own something business. You want to drive? The week he get this car, he meet with accident with a number 49 bus and was to go to court. He went around by Moses moaning with a lot of forms he had to fill up. Big city always confused when he have forms to fill up, and in the old Britain they have bags of that to do. He and the Englishwoman he living with always arguing. It's not that way. No, you don't. No, you put the date in the wrong place. Man, why are you so stupid? You can't see where it say date of birth in the next line? So to avoid contention with the wife, he does always go around by Moses whenever he have forms to fill up. How does accident happen? Moses asked. Boy, them something bus drivers can't drive. I was going slow down by Gloucestershire Road. You mean Gloucester Road? Stop something me up, man. I tell you, Gloucestershire Road. And same time this bus fly round the corner. Moses helped Big City to fill up the forms. Another thing, he liked to go in for football pool, but up to now he don't know how to fill up the forms properly, and every week he ran by Moses. Boy, the day I win that £75,000, oh Lord, it will be hell in London City, boy. You know I nearly had them last week. I was only one draw out. You sure you're marking the note in the right place? Man, Big City, Moses say, it's time you learn to fill up the coupon for yourself. You know, it's not hard. Let me show you. But Big City went on as if Moses didn't speak. Blackpool playing Aston Villa this week, he say. That is a sure draw. What do you think of Arsenal? Listen, Moses say, I'm tired telling you. I don't believe that football pool is for me. If I ever get money, it's by the sweat of the brow and not through winning anything. You making joke, Moses. Last week, two fellas win £75,000. Why you don't take a chance? It's only a tanner a week I does invest. Why you don't join the Littlewoods happy circle of investigators? Look, it have a place there where you can put your name and address on the coupon and they will start sending you forms. Big City, Moses say, again, tired out with helping fill the form week after week. Make an effort to learn, boy. You see where it marked 8 selections? You have to make a nought in 8 places. You can't go wrong even if you try. Right in the spaces here. But Big City entered the pools every week and never fill up a form himself yet. He tried Littlewood for 2 months, then he gave it up and switched to Sherman's. After that he went to Hills, then Vernon, then Cope. Then he went back to Littlewoods. Never mind, boy, he told Moses. One day I will win that £75,000. And then you know what? No, what? Big city, boy, big city. Paris, Brussels, Berlin, Rome, Baghdad. Then after the States, San Francisco, Chicago, New York. Then after one of them yachts to sail in the Mediterranean. And women for soul. Where all those big shots does go. On the river, in Italy. And what about the car you have now? You will give it to your good friend Moses who fill up the form for you, or when you have all that money you forget your friends? No, boy, you know what I will do? I would like to have money and buy out a whole street of house and give it to the boys and say, here, look, place to live. And I will put a notice on all the boards. Keep the water coloured, no rooms for whites. But big city, you only have mouth, man. I sure if you win all that money, you head straight back for Trinidad to eat a breadfruit and saltfish and go Maracas Bay to bathe in the sea. Who, me? No, boy. I'm not saying I mightn't go back. Come to think of it, it's a good idea to go back like a lord and let all them bitches see how much money I have. But wherever I roam, I will land back in the old Britain. 9-10 years I live here now, and I get to like the place. But Moses, serious boy, if you get that £75,000 in the pools, what would you do? I never think about that, I tell you. I would never get money that way. You never know your luck, old man. Look, you remember in 51 it had a Jamaica fella what win some money in the pools. You know what he do? He sent for the whole family and he buy 3-4 house in London. Now he living easy, and that wasn't even a £75,000. You could sit on your tail and say you won't get it. But tell me, Moses, if you get it, what will you do? I don't know. I tell you, I does always think poor. The old brain can't imagine what to do with all that money. But after city leave, No, but after City leave him, Moses used to think about that money, how it would solve all the problems in the world. He used to see all his years in London pile up on one on top of the other, and he getting no place in a hurry, and the years going by, and the thought make him frightened sometimes. Although big city have no work, yet he always have money. For he does go in for big deals, though nobody ever know what them big deals is. Once he went away for 3 months, and when he came back, he told the boys he went for holiday in Wales, but everybody suspect that the law catch up with City. It have no other lime in London that big city like more than to coast by Marble Arch at the Orator's Corner on a summer evening and listen to them fellas talking about how the government this and that, or making big discussion on the colour problem. In fact, this lime was a regular for the boys on any Sunday in the summer, in the sweet lazy summer, when them days like they would never done, and when all the fog and snow gone and night stay long to come, and when you could put on a hot jitterbug shirt and wear a light shark skin pants. When them white girls have on summer frocks and you could see legs and shapes that used to hide under winter coats. When the sun's shining and the sky blue and a warm wind blowing across the park. On any such Sunday evening, all the boys dressing up and coasting line by the arch, listening to all them reprobates and soapbox politicians, looking around to see if they could pick up something in the crowd. From east and west, north and south, the boys congregate by the arch. The first time Galahad ever went there, he amazed at how them fellas saying all kind of thing against the government and the country, and the police not doing them anything. Why is that City? He asked City. Why is that City? He asked City. Is so it is in Britain, Big City say. Listen, you always grumbling and cursing about something or other. Why don't you go and talk to the crowd? Yes, why don't you go, Galahad? Moses start to poke fire. The people like to listen to the boys. I know you have a lot on the chest. This is a place to get it off. Galahad start to hem. I can't just go and talk like that, he say. I know the fella who talking on the colour problem, City say. I will tell him that you can give the people the real dope on the question. What you say? Galahad started to grin foolishly and shrug his shoulders and shift his foot. But Moses, egging him on for so, until at least it looked like to save face he really have to say something. Big City went and talked to the fellow on the platform, and the fellow raised his hands and told the crowd, Ladies and gentlemen, I myself am not a colonial, but one who has been listening has kindly volunteered to come forward and tell you more about the question than I can. The boys cheered Galahad, and Galahad, feeling like a fool, was to go up on the platform, because he couldn't back out at this stage. But once a fright take him, he don't know what to say. Ladies and gentlemen, he began. Talk louder, man, Big City say. We can't hear you. The truth about this whole question, Galahad went on desperately, is that we want work to do. I here in this country a long time and I can't get a regular work. The people can't understand you, boy. Big City was out to make it hard for Galahad. Talk good English. Give me a chance, Big City, Galahad say, finding it easier to address one man in a crowd, and everybody start to laugh. Tell them about the time the foreman call you a nigger, Big City say. Give me a chance, Big City, Galahad say. But Big City start to exchange words with Galahad, and all the people looking at the two of them and laughing, and Galahad getting more and more vexed, until at last he fly down from the platform as if he's going to attack Big City. But the boys hold him back, though in truth, Big City is a big fella and Galahad wouldn't have stand a chance. All the same, Galahad had it in for Big City from that time, and he went about telling everybody that the next time he meet him, he would beat him like a snake. Nobody paid Galahad any mind, but one evening, right there by the arch under some trees, he was with the boys liming when they see Big City coming down the road. Ah, Moses say, stoking the fire. Look, Big City coming, Galahad. Now is the time to beat him. Now, Galahad is a fellow who's full of grand charge. One time in Trinidad, he had an enemy he was always threatening to beat. Galahad had a brother and he used to tell him, Listen, whenever Roy passing by here, I will charge him as if I'm going to beat him flat. But whenever you see me do that, you must run and come and hold me back. The brother agreed, and so Galahad used to rush up to Roy whenever he passed him by the house and make as if he's going to attack, and the brother would come and hold him back. This happened 3-4 times, until one day when Galahad charged, the brother wasn't there. Roy held on to Galahad and give him a good licking. Now, when he look and see Big City coming down the road, in truth, he get frightened and keep quiet, though Moses urging him on. Big City come up and say, I hear you looking for me, Galahad. Galahad grinned foolishly and say, what happened in Big City? Big City know he could have beat Galahad, so he didn't bother with him. He just stand up and talk a little while with the boys. Then he take off after a thing that was walking by. As soon as he get a safe distance away, Galahad kneel down and make the sign of the cross and say, I will beat Big City like a snake the next time we meet. Big City used to have dreams, and he believed those dreams as if they happened in truth. Last night he told Moses, I went to see Lady. You never see a house like that, boy. 4-inch carpet in the hallway, butler opening the door, whiskey and soda on the table, and a high tea spread out on the sideboard. I spend the night there. I meet Lord and other important people. Ah, Big City, you had another dream. If I lie, I die. The house is near Kensington Mansion, where all those millionaires and diplomats does live. You mean Kensington Palace? Don't begin to something me up again. You think I don't know London? I've been here 10 years now, and it ain't have a part that I don't know. When them English people tell strangers they don't know where so-and-so is, I always know. From Penton Villa right up to Musket Hill, all about by Clapham Common. I bet you can't tell a name in London that I don't know where it is. All right, Big City, take it easy. How you meet this lady? I was coasting a line by the circus and a big limousine pull up, and the driver asked me if I from the West Indies, and I say yes, and then he say that lady something want to meet a West Indian if I could come. So you should know I hop in the car, father, boy, something, and we drive to Millionaires Road. Another time he would come and say how he went to a party that had all them big shots, like what you read about in the Evening Standard column, London last night. How your name wasn't in the papers then? Oh, they wouldn't put my name, but if you look in today's Standard, you will see the party I was telling you about. It was in the Savoy. Churchill was there. Oh, what a time it is when summer come to the city, and all them girls throw away heavy winter coat and wearing light summer frocks so you could see the legs and shapes that was hiding away from the cold blasts, and you could coast a lime in the park and negotiate 10 shillings or £1 with the sports, as the case may be, or else they have a particular bench near the Hyde Park corner that they call the play-around section, where you could go and sit with one of them. What a time summer is, because you're bound to meet the boys coasting a lime in the park, and you could go walking through the gardens and see all them pretty pieces of skin taking suntan, and how the old geezers like the sun. They would sit on the benches and smile everywhere you turn, the English people smiling. Isn't it a lovely day, as if the sun burned away all the tightness and strain that was in their faces for the winter. And on a nice day, every man, Jack and his brother going to the park with his girl and laying down on the green grass and making love in the winter. You would never think that the grass would ever come green again, but if you don't keep your eyes open, it looked like one day the tree's naked and the next day they have clothes on. Sometimes walking up to the Bayswater Road from Queensway, you can look on a winter day and see how grim the tree's looking, and a sort of fog in the distance, though right near to you you ain't have no fog. But that is only deceiving, because if somebody down the other side look up by where you are, it would look to them as if it had fog by where you are. And this time saw the sun in the sky like a force ripe orange, and it giving no heat at all, and the atmosphere like a sullen twilight hanging over the big city. But it different, too bad when it's summer, for then the sun shine for true, and the sky blue, and the warm wind blowing, it look like when it's winter. a kind of grey nasty colour does come to the sky, and it stay there, and you forget what it's like to see blue skies like back home, where blue sky is so common people don't even look up in the air, and you feeling miserable and cold. But when summer comes, it's fire in the town, big times fate like stupidness, and you have to keep the blood cool, for after all them cold and wet months you roaring to go through. To tell truth, winter don't make much difference to some of the boys. They're blazing left and right as usual all the year round. To talk of all the episodes that Moses had with women in London will take bags of ballad. Moses moved through all the nationalities in the world, and then he started to circle again. Everybody know how after the war them rich English family send it to the continent to get domestic, and over there all them girls think like the newspapers say about the Jamaicans, that the streets of London paved with gold. So they come in by the boatload, and the boys making contact and having big times with the girls working during the day and coming round by the yard in the evening for a cuppa and to hit one or two. But any one of Moses' encounter is big episode, because coasting about the water, it ain't have no man with a sharper eye than he. Not even Cap could ask him for anything. And one summer evening he was walking when he spot a number, and he smiled and she smiled back, and after a little preliminary about the weather, Moses take her for a drink in the pub, and after that he goes to walk with she in Kensington Gardens, and they sit down on the grass and talk about how lovely the city is in the summer, and Moses say about how coming to my yard she went. And Moses say how about coming to my yard? She went, but afterwards Moses nearly dead with fright, because the woman started to moan and gasp and wriggle and twist up she body like a piece of wire. When Moses asked you what happened, she only moaning. Moses started to get cold sweat, because he know that if anything happened to the woman and the police find her in his yard, that he wouldn't stand a chance the way how things are getting to boys from in front. So he began to rub the woman down and pat she and try to make she drink some water. What happened to you, Moses? Asked frightened like hell that the woman might conk off on his hands. The woman only gasping and calling out for her mother, and Moses sweating. Just then the bell rang, and Moses went to the door and seen Daniel. Daniel, he said, boy, a hell of a thing happening here, man. I just pick up a woman up the road and bring she in the yard, and it looked like if she dying. What Daniel says, if you don't understand, wait here, Moses say, and he run back in the room. Listen, he tell the woman, my friend come and you have to go, put on your clothes. By the time Moses went and called Daniel inside, the woman was calm and cool as if nothing happened. She look all right to me, Daniel say, eyeing the piece as if he ready to charge. But Moses was too frightened to kick the woman around, though she sit down on the bed and begin to talk calmly. Boy, he told Daniel, you wouldn't believe me, but the woman did look as if she going to dead. You're only lying because I happened to come round while you have she here, Daniel say. But Moses so relieved that she looking all right that he didn't bother with Daniel. He just told her to come and go right away, so he take her out to the Bayswater Road to catch a bus. The heel of my shoe is coming off, she say. Will you come with me to get it fixed? Sure, Moses say. But as soon as they hop on the bus and it begin to drive off, Moses hopped off again and leaves she going to Marble Arch. What a gamble, Gambol, what a gamble does go on in the park on them summer nights. Oh, sometimes the girls wishing it would get dark quickly, and you have them parading all down the Bayswater Road from the arch to the gate, and you can see them fellas going up and talking for a minute, and if they agree, they go in the park or somewhere else together, and if not, the fella walk on. But these fellas that cruising, they could size up the situation in one glance as they pass by and know if they like this one or that one you meet, or like this one or that one. You does meet all sorts of fellas from all walks of life. Don't ever be surprised at who you meet up cruising and reclining in the park. It might be your boss, it might be some big professional fella, because it ain't have no discrimination when it come to that in the park in the summer. Seeing them girls in little groups here and there talking about how they could curse you. Never hear curse until one of them sports curse you. If you approach one and she don't like your terms, she will tell you to something off right away, and if you linger, she tell you to double something off. But business is brisk in the park in the summer. One night, one of them hustled from behind a tree, pulling up her clothes, and she bawl out, Mary, the police. And if you see how them girls fade out and make races with the tight skirts holding the legs close together and the high heels going clop clop, but that was no handicap. When they take off, it have some fellas who does go in the park only to cruise around and see what they could see. You could always tell these tests. They have on a coat with a collar turn up and their hand in their pocket and they're breezing through the park, hiding from tree to tree like if they're playing hide and seek. One night, Moses was liming near the park and a car pulled up that had a fella and an old-looking woman in it. The fella started to talk friendly and invite Moses home for a cup of coffee, and Moses went just to see what would happen. And what happened was, the fella played as if he'd fall asleep and give Moses a free hand because it had fellas who does get big thrills that way. But Moses didn't do anything because he know what the position like, and even though the fella offered him £3, he smiled and was polite and tell him that he's sorry, good night. Introducing Galahad to the nightlife, Moses explained to him about short time and long time and how to tackle the girls. And he take Galahad one night and let him loose in the park. Galahad say, I'm going to try. And he broached a group under the trees, about 100 yards from the corner by the arch. But from the time he began to talk, the girl tell him to something off. Galahad stand up to argue, but Moses pull him away. Those girls not Catholic at all, Galahad say, Moses. Say you have some of them who don't like the boys, and it's all the fault of Cap, because Cap don't like to pay. Let us cut through the park and go by Hyde Park Corner, Galahad say. When they reached there, Moses pick up a sharp thing who was talking to two English fellas, and he take her to the yard afterwards. The girl tell him how she used to take heroin at one time, and she show him the marks on her arm where she inject the kick. Moses stay with the thing regularly for a week. Then he get tired and tell Cap he have a girl if he interested, and Cap give the usual answer. So Moses tell him to come in the yard in the night that the girl would be there. Cap went, and Moses left the two of them in the room and went for a walk. When he come back 3 hours later, Cap was in the bathroom and the thing was standing up before the gas fire, warming up the treasury. Your friend have any money, she asked. Moses, yes, Moses say. He have bags of money. He is the son of a Nigerian king, and when he goes back home, he will rule more than 1 million people. The girl asked Moses if he want anything. Take it easy, Moses say, when Cap come back. Moses tell him to drop the girl up the road, and the girl went with Cap, thinking that he have plenty of money. When Cap get to the corner, he tell her to wait. He's going to change a £5 note, as he don't go around with small change. And he left the girl standing up there and never went back. Meantime, Moses sit down on the bed, and the bed fall down. When Cap come back, he say, Cap, you are a hell of a man. You break my bed. Cap say, sorry, Moses. Say, this is the third time you break my bed, Cap. Say, it was warm and nice in the bed. Moses, say what I will tell the landlord this thing happening so often, and he had was to put a box and prop up the bed to sleep. Summer does really be hot, like if you start to live again. You coast the line by the Serpentine and go for a row in the river, or you go bathing by the Lido, though the water never warm, no matter how hot the sun is. You would be feeling hot out the water, but the minute you jump in, you start to shiver and have to get out quick. But it does be as if around that time of the year, something strange happened to everybody. They all smiling, and as if they living for the first time. So you get to wondering if it ain't have a certain part of the population what does lie low during the cold months and only take to the open when summer come, for it have some faces in the water that Moses never see until summer come. Or maybe they have enough money to go Montego Bay in the winter and come back to the old Britain when they know the weather would be nice. Listen to this ballad. What happened to Moses one summer night? One splendid summer night with the sky brilliant with stars like in the tropics. He was lying in Green Park when an English fella come up to him and say, you are just the man I am looking for. Who, me? Moses say. Yes, the man say. Come with me. Moses went wondering what the test want, and the test take him to a blonde who was standing up under a tree and talk a little, so Moses couldn't hear, but Blondie shake her head. Then he take Moses to another one who was sitting on a bench, and she say yes. So the test come back to Moses and want to pay Moses to go with the woman. Moses was so surprised that he say yes quickly, and he went with the thing, and the test hover in the back background. Afterwards, he asked Moses if he would come again, and Moses said yes, it looked like a good proposition to me. I don't mind, and he carry on for a week. The things that does happen in this London, people wouldn't believe when you tell them. They will cork their ears when you talk and say that isn't true. But some ballad happened in the city that people would bawl if they hear right there in Hyde Park. How them sports must bless the government for this happy hunting ground. The things that happened there in the summer, hard to believe. One night, two sports catch a fella hiding behind some bushes with a flash camera in his hand. They mash up the camera and beat the fella where all these women coming from you never know. But every year the ranks augmented with fresh blood from the country districts who come to see the big life in London, and the bright lights also, lately in view of the big set of West Indians that are storming Britain. It have a lot of dark women who in the racket too. They have to make a living, and you can see them here and there with the professionals walking on the Bayswater Road or liming in the park, learning the tricks of the trade. It have some white fellas who feel it's a big thrill to hit a black number, and the girls does make them pay big money, but as far as spades, hitting spades, it ain't have nothing like that. For a spade, when they hit a spade, when they have so much other talent on parade. Don't think that you wouldn't meet a real class in the park, even in big society. They have hustlers. One night Moses met a pansy by Marble Arch tube station, and from the way the tests look at him, Moses know, because you could always tell these tests, unless you real green. You have a lovely tie, the pansies say. Very nice coat. Yes, Moses say, everything I have is nice. I like you to dead with laugh. Oh no, I like you, the pansies say. I like you too, Moses say. And all this time he wanted dead with laugh. I have a lovely model staying in my flat in Knightsbridge, the pansies say. She likes to go with men, but I don't like that sort of thing myself. Would you like to come to my flat? Sure, Moses say. We will go tomorrow night as I have an important engagement tonight. I will meet you right here by the station, the tests say. But so many people are here, Moses say. I might miss you. If you don't see me, you can phone. But what will we do when I come to your flat? Moses say, playing stupid. And the tests tell him what, and what they wouldn't do. One night, he and Galahad was walking up Inverness Terrace when a car passed going slow, and a door opened, and a fella fling one of the sports out of the poor... Wait. When a car passed going slow, and a door opened, and the fella fling one of the sports out, the poor girl fall down and roll to the pavement. All the other sports in the area rally and run up to she and pick she up and ask she what happened. She says she went with the fella, but he didn't want to pay, and she give him 2 cuff in his face, and he picked she out of the car. Another night, a big Jamaican fella take 2 home and had them running out the house, and he throw their clothes for them from the window. People wouldn't believe you when you tell them the things that happen in the city. But the cruder you are, the more the girls like you. You can't put on any English accent for them, or play la-di-da, or tell them you're studying medicine in Oxford, or try to be polite and civilised. They don't want that sort of thing at all. They want you to live up to the films and stories they hear about black people living primitive in the jungles of the world. That is why you will see so many of them African fellows in the city with their hair high up on their head like they ain't had a trim for years, and with a scar on their face and a ferocious expression going about with some real sharp chicks. The cruder you are, the more they like you. The whole blasted set of them frustrated, like if they don't know what it is all about. What happened to you people? Moses asked a cat one night, and she tell him how the black boy's so nice and could give them plenty thrills. People wouldn't believe, or else they will cork their ears and say they don't want to know. But the higher the society, the higher the kicks they want. One night, Moses met a nice woman driving in a car in Piccadilly, and she picked him up and take him to a club in Knightsbridge where it had a party, bags of women and fellas all about drinking champagne and whiskey. This girl who picked him up get high and start to dance the can-can with some other girls. When they fling their legs up in the air, they're going around to the tables where the fellas sitting. Moses sit down there wondering how this sort of thing happening in a place where only the high and the mighty is. But with all of that, they feel they can't get big thrills unless they have a black man in the company. And when Moses leave afterwards, they push £5 in his hand and pat him on the back and say that was a jolly good show. They have a lot of people in London who cork their ears and wouldn't listen, but if they get the chance, they do the same thing themselves. Everybody look like they're frustrated in the big city. Their sex life gone wild. You would meet women who beg you to go with them one night. A Jamaican with a woman in Chelsea in a smart flat with all sorts of surrealistic painting on the walls and contemporary furniture in the G plan. The poor fella bewildered and asking questions to improve himself because the setup looked like the world of art. But the number not interested in passing on any knowledge. She only interested in one thing, and in the heat of emotion she called the Jamaican a black bastard, though she didn't mean it as an insult but as a compliment under the circumstances. But the Jamaican fella get vexed and he stopped and say, "Why the hell you call me a black bastard?" And he thumped the woman and went away. All these things happened in the blazing summer under the trees, in the park on the grass, with the daffodils and tulips in full bloom, and a sky of blue. Oh, it does really be beautiful then, to hear the birds whistling and see the green leaves come back on the trees. And in the night the world turn upside down and everybody hustling. That is life. That is London. Oh, Lord Galahad say when the sweetness of summer get in him, he say he would never leave the old Britain as long as he live. And Moses sigh a long sigh, like a man who lived life and see nothing at all in it, and who frightened as the years go by, wondering what it is all about. Whew. I'm going to stop there. That was a unique section in the book that had 0 punctuation, no commas, no full stops, no anything. So it's almost like a stream of consciousness when he's talking about the blissful summer in London. So I'm going to take a breather and then finish off. There's one more section to finish the book. Thanks for listening.